Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we will chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verses 1 to 10.
अथ एकादशोऽध्यायः। अर्जुन उवाच मदनुग्रहाय परमम् गुह्यमध्यात्मसंज्ञितम् यत्त्वयोक्तं वचस्तेन मोहोऽयं विगतो मम। अर्जुन उवाच मदनुग्रहाय परमम् गुह्यमध्यात्मसंज्ञितम् यत्त्वयोक्तं वचस्तेन मोहोऽयं विगतो मम। भवाप्ययौ हि भूतानां श्रुतौ विस्तरशो मया त्वत्तः कमलपत्राक्ष माहात्म्यमपि चाव्ययम्। एवमेतद्यथार्थत्वम् आत्मानं परमेश्वर द्रष्टुमिच्छामि ते रूपम् ऐश्वरं पुरुषोत्तम। मन्यसे यदि तच्छक्यम् मया द्रष्टुमिति प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानमव्ययम्। श्रीभगवानुवाच पश्य मे पार्थरूपाणि शतशोऽथसहस्रशः नानाविधानि दिव्यानि नानावर्णाकृतीनि च। पश्यादित्यान् वसून् रुद्रान् अश्विनौ मरुतस्तथा बहून्यदृष्टपूर्वाणि पश्याश्चर्याणि भारत। इहैकस्थं जगत्कृत्स्नम् पश्याद्य सचराचरम्। मम देहे गुडाकेश यच्चान्यद्द्रष्टुमिच्छसि न तु मां शक्यसे द्रष्टुम् अनेनैव स्वचक्षुषा। दिव्यं ददामि ते चक्षुः पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम्। सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा ततो राजन् महायोगेश्वरो हरिः दर्शयामास पार्थाय परमं रूपमैश्वरम्। अनेकवक्त्रनयनम् अनेकाद्भुतदर्शनम् अनेकदिव्याभरणम् दिव्यानेकोद्यतायुधम्।
Janki ji, you're muted.
Thank you, Mahesh. Thank you, Mahesh. So today we start the 11th chapter, very famous chapter, very famous in the masses chapter. Because if you ask anybody what happened in the Bhagavad Gita, if they know absolutely nothing else, then they will say the Lord showed his universal form. So it's a very famous chapter, considering it's the most what should I say, most well-known part of the Bhagavad Gita, maybe most well-known part of the Mahabharata also. Everybody remembers Krishna showed the Vishwarupa Darshan. So we're going to study it now. If have you all, is everybody in this class in Friday class? How many people in this class are in Friday class? Almost everybody, nobody. Yes, put a thumbs up, or I don't know, however it is you are supposed to speak. Shilpa, yes, okay. Friday class? Okay. So not very many. Nilu, you're there in Friday class? You're not there. You're muted, so I can't hear you, but I hear you. Not in Friday. Okay, so let's do
No, I'm not there. I just today is the first class,
Okay.
second class for you.
Okay. So
Hari Om.
Okay, so because the whole thing was done on Friday, so I don't want to just repeat it if you all have already heard. So chapter 11 is very, very strange because it does something which you don't expect in Vedanta. In Vedanta, the concept of God is the all-pervading transcendental truth. And where is the question of there being a form? And yet the Lord himself shows a form. So how do you even account for this thing? All along they tell you, he himself tells you, there is no form, it is formless, it is ananta, it is no madhyam now. He himself say all that. There is no beginning, no middle, no end, no form. I'm all pervading. And now why are you showing us a form? So it's a little confusing if you stop to think about why show a form at all? So why show a form at all when he has spent all his time, saying that there is no form? Could be because of two reasons. One is, for an emotional person, the devotional aspect of religion is the most important. And when any teacher teaches, the teacher has to consider everybody in the class, everybody in the audience, not merely those who are intellectuals. So the form is given as a method of inspiring those of us who are emotional, of giving an emotional support to those who are intellectual, and giving an imagery, because sometimes all the sort of abstract concepts become too much. So now here is almost a story, an imagery. So that is why the concept of a form has been introduced, not only here, but everywhere else too. And you may say, no, what is all this? Why should you have forms in the temples, in anywhere else? Why should you even have any form at all? Because it is necessary. It is necessary for people who cannot conceive directly the transcendental, the formless reality, to see it as a form gives a sort of concreteness to the whole pursuit. For some people who are emotional, for some people who are in the beginning of the pursuit, for even some sadhaks who are advanced but still find the form useful. So for a large number of people, that is why one of the most famous things of the Bhagavad Gita is this form. Nobody knows anything, but they know that the form is there. Now you may say, but that's not correct. How can they show such a thing? They're teaching wrong things. It's not like that, really. Krishna or Vyasa, as the case may be, Vyasa is the author of the book, Krishna is the hero of the book, whoever one you want to take, has not done something new and unusual. It has always been part of our tradition. The Kena Upanishad, it is one of the biggest iconoclasts. They break every concept of a form. It is the Kena Upanishad which tells us that it is the year of the year. It is the mind of the mind. It is the eye of the eye. It tells us not what you see, but what makes you see. Tadeva brahmatvam vriddhi nedam yaditam upasate. Nothing that you worship here is God, but that alone is God. That unseen, that unknown, that which enables things to be seen, that which enables things to be known. Okay, 3 chapters he spends on telling us how God cannot be known, cannot be perceived, cannot be felt, cannot be thought. 3 chapters. 4th chapter starts with saying, there is a yaksha in the sky. Who is this adorable form? Form. 3 chapters telling us there's no form. 4th chapter, giving a form. 3rd chapter, giving a form. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it the most, like, what are you saying? This is so that we can be inclusive. This knowledge is meant for everybody, and we should be inclusive. Anyone who can take it in whatever manner should take it. So therefore, the Gita follows the tradition of the Upanishads and introduces the concept of the form. So here Arjuna requests and Krishna shows his cosmic form. So he says, if you think it is possible, manyase yadhi, if you think that I can see it, drashtum ichhami, I wish to see. If you think it is possible, then let me see that rupam aishwaram, let me see that aishwarya of yours, let me see that form, that splendid form of yours. And so Krishna says, okay, here it is. And then he shows, see whatever you want to see. What will a person see? Only what is in his mind, right? You can't see anything other than what's in your mind. So he says, okay, see now, here, Aneka Vaktra, I've seen lots of things over here. And then he says, you will not be able to see this, what I am showing you. Divyami, I will give you, Dadami, I will give you that vision by which you will be able to see this. And so he gives him the vision to see it. And then Sanjaya talks and says, and describes that glorious form that Arjuna is supposed to be seeing. And Arjuna sees the form, he sees in it Brahma, he sees in it Vishnu, he sees in it the destruction. He sees Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the creator, the maintainer, the destroyer. He's seeing everything, basically seeing everything. When you say Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the creator, maintainer, destroyer, what are you talking about? We're talking about everything. That's what it means, right? Because everything is created and destroyed. And in this creation and destruction cycle, the world is maintained. So when you see all the 3 gods, that means you're seeing everything. And then he sees the destruction and gets terrified with that Ugra Rupa, that terrible form, that fierce form that he sees. He sees so much destruction. He sees the whole Kaurava army going into the mouths of the Lord, and their heads stuck in the gaps of their teeth. Really, some really awful descriptions he sees. And he is terrified. And he tells the Lord, please take away this vision. Don't show me any of this thing. Take it away. Take it away. And the Lord says, okay, you asked for it. I gave it to you. You want me to take it away? I'll take it away. So he takes away. And then he says, Rishtvedams, seeing the Manusham Rupam, seeing that Saumya Rupa, the gentle form again, I am at peace. Otherwise, he was saying, Prasida, Prasida Jagam Nivasa. Prasida means have mercy. Don't show me all this stuff. Have mercy. And then when he showed him his four-armed form again he comes down and tells him, Krishna tells Arjuna that no one has ever seen such a form. And there is no spiritual practice that will enable you to see such a form. Now, what does all this mean? We will do as we do the chapter. Okay? So, what is that? I think some of you have your, are not muted.
Janki ji?
Yeah?
Yeah, you said there are two reasons why the form is shown. One is for the emotional people, and then the second reason for having shown
It's
this.
traditional. It
Okay.
is not like he just. It is an accepted part of the tradition. Gita takes its authority from the Upanishads. Keno Upanishad, the most iconoclast Upanishad, breaks down every form of form. In itself gives the form. So, it is considered that it's like in law, there's precedent, right? I'm sure, Mitali, you will know.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So there is precedent. Second reason is in legal language, there is precedent. It's not something that he has come up with. So first reason is that to be inclusive, to allow it to get this knowledge across to everybody. I think the great genius of the rishis of the past was that they were able to get this knowledge to everybody. That is why this country was such a bedrock of spirituality. Everybody had it. Even today, you can see glimpses. Even your staff, every taxi driver, rickshaw puller, anybody will be able to spout at least some knowledge of the scriptures. It is like all over the place. So how did they do that? They did it by the inclusion of these things.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, today we are studying about Bhagavad Gita,
That's
chapter
right.
11.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
So, Siroto, if you think that, oh my God, how can I do chapter 11? I didn't do the first two. Don't worry. Every chapter in itself is a book. So, you need not worry about what went before. From now
Okay.
on, we will study.
Okay.
Of course, if you have this chapter, it may be particularly difficult for you, Siroto. It is a very easy chapter for Indians because they know all the background. So, anything that is not clear, please stop me and ask.
Okay. Thank you.
So, let us start verse 1. Arjuna uvacha madanugrahaya paramam guhyamadhyatma sannitam yatva yuktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. Arjuna uvacha madanugrahaya paramam guhyamadhyatma sannitam yatvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna said, as you know, the Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between the Lord Sri Krishna and his friend and disciple Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The battle is about to start. The best warrior, the chieftain over there, Arjuna, has refused to fight. And Krishna is now giving him the knowledge of life and living to enable him to make the right choice. The most important thing in life always is the choices we make. Arjuna has a choice in front of him right now to fight or to leave. And therefore, he needs the knowledge to be able to help him take that decision wisely. Every moment of our life, we are faced with this choice. Every moment, we get a choice. Are we going to go in the right direction or wrong direction? And every time we make bad choices, it becomes like it has a snowballing effect. The options given to us after that just get worse and worse. You get caught eventually between the devil and the deep blue sea. Suppose a person decides to steal, and the man in whose house he's stealing comes. Now he has an option to get caught or to kill. Both are not good options for him, right? So he takes the option to kill. Once he takes that option, now he gets the choice to go back and now he has lost the choice of ever going back and living a normal life. So now his choice will become to join a gang or to operate on his own. So you see, what happens is once you make one bad choice, then the choices you get subsequent to that just make life more and more difficult. It becomes a snowballing effect. And luckily for us, the same thing happens if you make good choices. If you make good choices, again it snowballs. Better and better options become available to us. So this thing about being able to choose is critical in human life. It takes you up, it takes you down. And to choose carefully, you need education on life. And that is what the Gita is. So this is what Arjuna has fortunately got when he's about to take a crucial decision. Fight or leave. If he fights, then as the Lord tells him, you will either win or you will die. These are your two options. If you win, you get the crown. If you lose, you get heaven. So what is your problem? If you choose not to fight, now what are your choices? Your choices will be run away and don't meet anyone again. Don't show your face in society, or be in society and have everybody mock you. See, the great Arjuna ran away when the fight came. This will become your choices. So be careful what you're choosing. So he's explained to Arjuna all this while. Now you see, Arjuna is in this conversation. So this conversation is going. Now Arjuna says, Madanu grahaya paramam guhyam adhyatma sangitam. Madanu grahaya, out of your compassion for me, out of your love for me. Why does he say that? Why does the teacher teach? Just think of it from Krishna's point of view. Nothing is going to happen as far as he personally is concerned. If Arjuna wins, Pandavas rule. If Duryodhana wins, Kauravas rule. Krishna is going to stay in the same position he is. So he couldn't be bothered which of these two win. Then why is he siding with Pandava? Because Pandava is the good one. He's siding with the good one. But why is he siding with the good one? How does it matter to him whether the good wins or the bad wins? There's no explanation to this. So the only word we can use, a borrowed term, a word that doesn't really explain anything, is compassion. Just think of this. Suppose you were a waker who could go back into your dream world. No such thing is possible. But suppose you have now woken up from a dream. Okay, and somehow you were able to go back. In that dream, you were handing out houses to poor people. Okay? And you wake up. Do you want to go back into the dream to hand out those houses? And suppose for whatever reason you are sent into that dream to hand out those houses. With what feelings will you hand them out? You know perfectly well that these people to whom you are handing houses, this is a dream. These people are not getting any houses at all. They are nicely sleeping in their air-conditioned bedrooms at home. They have got nothing to do with the houses that you're giving them. Maybe at that time, a tiger is chasing you. You know perfectly well that you are not this person this tiger is chasing. What are your reactions to all these things? Nothing, right? You're not. This is nothing. None of this is touching you. And yet you play your part. Yet you give out those house certificates, yet you run away from the tiger, yet you do whatever it is that has to be done. So why are you doing it? What explanation is there? The realized souls have understood this world is an illusion. Then why are they teaching anybody anything? Why are they taking the side of the right and the good? There's no explanation. So we use words like love or compassion, but they are borrowed terms. So, but Arjuna also didn't understand all this. So he says, out of compassion for me, you have told me that great secret known as Adhyatma. You've explained to me Adhyatma. Adhyatma means pertaining to the self. You've told me about the self, the transcendental reality. You've told me about the self. You've told me this great secret. Why secret? Because nobody knows. Something is a secret when something nobody knows it. Yat tvaya uktam vachaha. By these words which you have spoken to me, tena, by that, moham, ayam, vigataha. My moham, my delusion, vigataha. Gataha, gone. Vigataha, visheshena gataha. Very, completely gone. Well, what do you understand out of this? By the speech of the supreme secret known as Adhyatma, which you have spoken out of compassion for me, this delusion of mine is dispelled. It's a very, very interesting verse because everything in it is wrong. You cannot say that the Lord teaches you out of compassion. You cannot say that he reveals the secret. And you cannot say that Arjuna's delusion is gone. How do you know Arjuna's delusion has not gone?
The correct action hasn't followed.
Very good. Here he says, my delusion is gone. Mohoyam vigato mama. My moha, vigataha, gone. Mama, mine. So my delusion is gone. And he's saying my delusion is gone. And his question is, show me your form. So how on earth has your delusion gone? It is very much there. In the 18th chapter, he repeats this. That my moha is gone. Nashto moha smritir labdva. My moha, my delusion is gone. My memory has come back to me. Again he says it. But this time, he picks up his arrow and bow and arrow and goes and fights. So we know that his delusion, at least as far as this decision, has gone. Here he says, my delusion is gone. Why has this verse been introduced in the very beginning of this chapter? Because this is what happens to us on the spiritual path. We say, oh, I got this knowledge, and because I got this knowledge, look at how wonderful I have become. We feel like that. This is just our ego playing. We feel that we have the knowledge, that this knowledge has benefited us. It's a long journey ahead. It's a long, long journey ahead. We feel that, oh, because of this knowledge, this has happened, that has happened. No, nothing has happened so far. Chill. Long journey home still. And yet we are so satisfied. We are so, what should I say, content with the knowledge we have. To know with this knowledge, to know how to live life, and to go through life very comfortably, very conveniently, requires 5-10% of this knowledge. And so most of us, having come to this, life is kind of smooth. Don't really have too many problems. Everything we are able to handle, or largely we are able to handle. We're even sometimes able to see that we are doing things better than maybe our compatriots, our colleagues are doing. And we get within us a sense of, a false sense of confidence that we are okay. No. It's almost like, to give a very silly example, you took your first dose of antibiotic and you're feeling much better. But if you don't finish the course, you're feeling much better now, it doesn't count. Exactly like that on the spiritual path. If you don't finish, this won't count. Why won't it count? Why won't it count? You're feeling better, everything's going well, why doesn't it count?
Immunity increase.
Sorry?
Immunity increase.
Yes. You will go back to a bad state. Yes, you will not be able to. This whole thing is going to recur. So we have to keep on the path, even though everything seems okay. This path is not a solution to temporary problems. Problems will come even if you don't do anything about the problem will eventually go away. This path is not an answer to those immediate problems in life. Those immediate problems are just something we solve on the way. This path has to take us to a grandeur that we cannot even conceive. And because we can't conceive it, we feel, I am okay. No, I'm okay. Exactly what Arjuna says. I am okay now. My delusion is gone. And Krishna is not turning around to him and saying, if your delusion is gone, A, why are you asking foolish questions? 2, if your delusion is gone, why don't you get up and fight instead of chatting over here on the battlefield? You have to understand, you're on the battlefield. The bugles have blown. The war is about to start. And this chap is saying, show me your Vishwarupa Darshana. Show me that glorious form of yours. If he was in his right senses, then Krishna would have told him the right answer, which is, are you crazy? We'll talk about these things later on. Can you just fight the war for the moment? That is what you have to do. So a little bit like my husband. No, my husband, don't tell him I told you this. He is very, he loves to fix things in the house. But he procrastinates. Okay, and then when you tell him lunch is ready or dinner is ready, he will suddenly remember the tap which has to be fixed, or the watch that has to be fixed, or the lock that has to be fixed. He'll pick up his tools when you've got to fix it. But you had all the day, whole of Sunday was there. Why didn't you get any other time? The moment you announce the meal, off he goes to repair things. So now I've also become sensible. I tell him just before the meal that something has to be fixed, and I know it will be done immediately. And I also know how much time I can set for food. So when we are trying to do something, when we are in a delusion, we really don't understand what is going on. We don't understand what is the choice we should be making. What is that we should be doing now? Is it right on Arjuna's part to say that. What is the wrong choice Arjuna is making here? What happened? All examples, there is nothing. Once got lost in the example. What happened? What is the wrong choice here?
Instead of fighting, he continues to ask for the forms, to see.
Very good. Thank you, Nine. Sometimes I get the feeling nobody is listening only. I am just carrying on. So, he's like my husband. Instead of eating the meal which is on the table, he has gone to fix whatever problem. So I have to be grateful, of course, because all these problems get fixed. But what are you doing when? You can't tell him that, of course. Don't tell him I told you, okay? So, like that, Arjuna, not like that, much worse than that, is Arjuna saying that, now show me off. My delusion is gone. I have understood everything. Now show me your form. Understood everything? If you've understood what he's told you so far, which is that the self is all pervading, ultimate transcendental reality, then how on earth can you ask for a form? But still, we have to sympathize with Arjuna because this is what we go through. We feel. I'm sure you must have experienced hundreds of times so far that things are all okay. This is what Arjuna is talking about. My delusion is gone. No, it hasn't. How do we know whether our delusion has gone or not?
If you are acting or not.
Sorry, say that again.
If you are acting or not, like if you are not
just acting, you are doing what?
Or to do.
What we are supposed to do.
Or to do fight, he'll fight.
Yeah. Are you doing the right action? That is delusion gone. Not just saying, oh, I'm so good, I'm so great, I got all my answers right in class. That doesn't mean anything. Are you making the right choice when it comes to action? Uttara. Isn't Arjuna greedy? Greedy. He has understood Krishna to be capable of Vishwarupa, so he's asking in the heat of the moment. But isn't all of this delusion? Greed, if you claim this is greed, then greed is delusion, isn't it? Otherwise, what are you greedy for? Heat of the moment also means delusion only. What else is it? Krishna is capable of Vishwarupa. He is capable of hundreds of other things. Why are you asking for this one? Imagine, suppose you meet God one day and you tell God, see God, I wanted to go to Kulu Manali, but my railway tickets are not being confirmed. Can you confirm my railway tickets? Then we will say that you are in?
Crazy, you are crazy.
Yeah, you are in complete delusion. You could have asked for anything and you asked for confirmation of your railway reservation, that to second class. So, this is called delusion. Who are you talking to and what are you asking? Just like Bhakt asking Ishwar to show his glory. Yeah. Why Bhakt doesn't answer? Person in delusion asks that. Bhakta doesn't ask for anything. The Bhakta just loves the Lord. He does no business transaction. I love you, therefore you must do something. No, he just loves the Lord, full stop. There are no prefixes, there are no suffixes. We have this misunderstanding that the Bhakta is asking X or Y or Z. He's not asking for anything. Radha did not ask for Krishna. Must understand what love is. No demands. I don't want to see you, nothing. I am happy to love you. Full stop. End of story. And when that love reaches its peak, he finds he and the Lord are the same. This is all in the lower levels that all these things happen. Okay, are you okay, Uttara? Okay, Siroto. How can we get out of delusion? By knowledge, Suroto, there's no other way of getting out of delusion. Once you understand, you are out of delusion. Delusion means that your own desires are out of your intellect's control. When you strengthen the intellect with knowledge, that means reflection, thinking about the knowledge, then your desires come within the grasp of your intellect. I mean, in the sense your intellect can govern those desires. And when you're in this position, you're in the ideal position. It's like first you were on a horse that you could not control. Now you're on a horse which you can control. So the horse which you can control will take you to your destination. The horse which you cannot control will cause damage. So when it's out of your control, you are in what is known as delusion. Your head is not working properly. Okay? That is why we are studying Vedanta. Yes, correct. Manoj, in this sense, we are in too much delusion, as so many right action not happening. Yes, Manoj, this subject is very depressing. It does make us understand this. It's in bits and pieces, inconsistent, out of delusion is equal to right choice, right action is taken, correct. Delusion is gone means your action is correct. That means every action you have done is a well-considered, well-examined action. Very recently, there was this lady, she told me this thing, which I may have made a mistake in my response to her, but here's what she told me. She said that she has a staff member. Now this staff member, let us call her Hasina. I'm just picking up a name because I'm trying not to, Hasina, okay, her name is Hasina. Now this lady, she's a very kind, good-hearted lady. And this staff member has had a lot of ailments and illnesses and all, but she has helped her through. And her recent one has been cancer, which also she's helping her with. Now her cancer was getting better. And then she told her boss, this Hasina told her boss, that the only thing I want, meri ek hi umeed hai, the only thing I want is I want to get married. And I've been seeing this boy for 6 years and he hasn't proposed. So then this lady, the boss, called that boy and gave him a speaking to. He said, see, either you marry her or you stop seeing her. Anyway, so the end result is he said, okay, we will get married. He agreed to the marriage. And then they fixed a date. And when they fixed the date, just like a week before the date, he reneged on his promise. And her cancer came back. It's because she's under so much shock, assume. Anyway, he reneged on the promise and he postponed the wedding. Her cancer came right back. Then again, she went to chemo, blah, blah, and now she's getting better. And this lady boss of hers, Hasina's boss, okay, this is where she was telling me the story, that all she says, she wants to get married. So I'm determined I'm going to get her married. I am going to do all the, I'm going to arrange the marriage. I will have it at my place. I will buy her the lehenga and everything. And she also wants me to buy them, every piece of jewelry, every clothes, the organization, I'm going to do the whole thing. So I said something which I don't know whether I should have said. I said, what is the boy going to do? The boy's going to do nothing. What's he going to spend? Nothing. Then how do you know that next day he just doesn't say talaq, 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 and matter is over? Then that poor Hasina is in trouble. your money is down the drain and he has no skin in the game. I don't know if I should have said that, but that has now given her pause. So when we are doing good work also, we can get so carried away in trying to help somebody. We don't think one step further. So instead of spending so much money on her wedding, better to give her the money and you do whatever you want with it. And insist that the boy participate in this. Otherwise, what is the skin in? I mean, he can at any time leave, especially because his parents don't want him to marry the girl. Which is understandable from the parents' point of view. Why would they want their boy to marry a girl who has been ill all along, currently has cancer, is incapable of childbirth? You can understand, right? There's lots of things going on here. It's not that simple. So even in doing charity, you have to make the right choices. Are you really looking after this person? Are you doing what is in the welfare of this person? Are you exposing her to further heartbreak? Which direction? Because all she wants is to get married. So you can argue that if she does get married, at least, one thing is out of the way. So, she may say better to be married for one day than not at all. But then that is her call, not our call. If she says, she may say, no, I still want to go ahead with this, even though I don't know any of these things, because I don't care. I just want to be married. Tomorrow, even if he leaves me, I don't care. I just want to be married. Okay, then that's your call. But surely if I want to help the person, I must be able to tell the person, no, these are the choices. You can, of course, choose in whichever way you want, but these are the choices. So when we get carried away with the desire, even good desires, all we land into is delusion. And then things just go downhill very quickly. Just refuse to think. So taking right action at any point, not easy at all. Helping other people, really difficult. Our hearts must long to help, but our intellects must be willing to put in the effort that the help really goes to the other person. We give out of impulse, just like you feel like it and you give. And good-hearted people, good people, they give a lot. Mean-hearted, non-charitable, miserly people, they don't give anything. So those who give are better than those who don't, because somehow those who give will somehow be protected in life. Karma takes care of them. But why should we choose between just not giving and giving when we have an alternative? We can give sensibly. To give an outpouring of stuff and to give it sensibly should be the idea. So anything, in other words, what is the moral of the story?
Your
Do the
mind
right
is
action.
drawn by the intellect.
Delusion is very easy. And if you ask that lady, as she's doing all this for that staff, for that girl, Hasina, all these names I'm making up because I don't want to expose who the person is. Suppose we say that she's doing so much, for that girl, who does now for their staff member, who does so much stuff, whole wedding to organize for somebody else. And you stop her and say, you're in delusion. Or forget you stopping her and say, will she think to herself, I am in delusion? She is so sure she's doing the right thing. So therefore, when we are more sure we are doing the right thing, are we? Are we really? How will we know whether that thing was right or wrong?
Time will prove it.
Yeah, consequences are coming. Really, consequences are coming. Yes, correct, Milind. Time will tell us. But hopefully we are sensible and we don't require time to tell us. We can project before. What are the likely outcomes of this thing? So, what have we learned today? We have learned about how A, we are in delusion. B, we believe our delusion is purposes. Purposes, whose purposes? Do you even know that you have written purposes as your name? Whose purposes? Is there anyone new in class today? Purposes, are you new? Most are familiar names. I don't know who 134 Om 672 iPhone is. So I don't know. And SPS. Oh, no, that I know. Saroj, Pramila, Chaudhary, Poonam, Mitali. Okay. Everyone seems old, right? Purposes, who are you?
Left.
Left. Oh my God, I frightened purposes. Okay, so
He joined again.
Oh, where is purposes? Oh, okay, to change the name. Oh no, PM is okay. Who is 134 Om 672? Oh, okay. All right, whatever. Hey, Bharat, it seems delusion is perhaps more likely to arise with good emotions. Yes, yes, it is very likely to arise with good emotions. It is also likely to arise with bad emotions. With bad emotions, one advantage we get with bad emotions. What is the advantage we get with bad emotions? You tell me. What is the advantage we get when we have bad emotions, when we are angry or jealous or we hate something? We have one advantage by having a bad emotion. What is that advantage?
Agitation.
Okay. What else?
We know that it is bad and we have to do something about it.
Very good, Elsie. We recognize it as something bad. When we are doing something stupid out of good emotions, we don't have this advantage. We don't even have Bharat's advantage of agitation. So you could, feeling high emotion, you could be agitated, but you don't recognize it. And the biggest problem of life is we don't recognize. We don't recognize our ignorance. We don't recognize our stupidity. And if you want the best proof of that, the best proof will be that if you go to a lunatic asylum and say over there, all of you who are mad, raise your hand. Do you think people will raise their hands? No lunatic knows that he's mad. Isn't that very frightening? Suppose all of us are lunatics. We will be the last to know. Isn't it? Who will tell you?
And they will tell you, you are mad.
Yeah. And suppose they are right. Yeah, correct. In the lunatic asylum, no? Yeah. Suppose somebody tells us we are mad. Will we agree? So how will we ever know how mad we are? Impossible to know. But while this is going on, we are all convinced we're very wise. And especially if we attend Vedanta classes or we've been studying Vedanta, our belief in our wisdom is amazing. Vedanta means that you have lost the belief in your wisdom. Momita, there is the greed is good type though, magical thinking. Yes. Yeah, I mean, there are those who think that is good, but for us people, I'm talking, negative emotion, at least we know we are suffering a negative emotion, you shouldn't. When you're getting very irritated with somebody and you know that I'm getting irritated. Oh, irritation is only because of desire. So you'll say something like that to yourself. But when you're doing what you think is a good act, like this lady I was telling you about, where she's just taking that lady towards a. Can you imagine next day if he leaves her, how heartbroken she's going to be? And why? What reason has he? Firstly, doesn't wish to marry her. He has to be, threatened into it. His family doesn't want it. And he is not doing anything. He's putting in no effort in this whole thing.
So, Janki ji, I have a question about that. When people do good, sometimes it is also a kind of egotism, which not in this particular case, but there are times when people want to be seen as do-gooders, people pleasing. That's really it's not coming from a good place.
So that at least you can identify, right? But suppose it is coming from a good place. Suppose the person is genuine. Even then the person can be in delusion.
Yeah.
So this is the amount of layers. It's like an onion. The amount of layers you have to cross before you come to the right choice. And yet we believe our delusion is gone. I know. This I know. For instance, right now in class, every one of us can say, I know that class is on. We'll all agree to that, right? The question is class on? Suppose you were currently dreaming, you were sleeping and dreaming that the class is on, would you not be feeling exactly the same way? In your dream, if you were dreaming that we were in class, something is going on, would you not have exactly the same feeling? So how do you know that this class is really on? I don't want to confuse you, but the fact remains that our belief in our knowledge is way higher than our capacity to prove any of it. Preeti, you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I just had this question that here in case of like Arjuna, isn't it Leela, Krishna's Leela? I mean, that, the God really wants to, Arjuna is just the medium, and he's really trying to give this knowledge. So, prompting Arjuna to really ask those questions and show his delusion, etc.
This is true for every one of us at all times. Everything is the Lord's Leela. It's not that only this is the Lord's Leela. You asking this question is the Lord's Leela. You maybe sometimes not asking the question is the Lord's Leela. The mosquito flying, this light being on, somebody cooking in the kitchen, all of it is the Lord's Leela. That is common to everything. That there is no particular Leela here which is not there elsewhere. Where's Sarota? Sarota, Leela means, I don't know how you translate it, maybe the Lord's play, the Lord's game, something like that. So all of creation, everything is supposed to be the Lord's game. The entire creation, which means the entire delusion, is a game of the Lord. In the positive sense, it means that everything here is divine. In the negative sense, it means that everything here is an illusion, Maya. It's just a game, it's just a pastime.
Magic. It is magic.
Yeah, the fact that you think that class is on is magic. Yeah, Preeti.
So, even us being the deluded is also like Leela, so not really wanting us to get out of the delusion.
Leela means you have to get out of it, no? You have to get into Kam Ki Baat. Why are you in Leela? Get into Kam Ki Baat, which is the self. Everything, when this is a language from Bhakti Yoga, that everything is a Leela of the Lord. Everything is a game of the Lord. That means everything is nothing but a manifestation of the Lord. Everything is divine, basically. That's why I say Madhuram, I don't know if you're
Right,
part of
right.
Krishna tradition. So Adharam Madhuram, like everything Madhuram. Madhuram is sweet, everything is sweet, everything is sweet because all associated with the Lord.
Right. Thank you very much. That was very helpful.
Why a negative sense, Rajneesh? Negative, not negative in the sense, the other sense of it. Like, the other side of it is you can take it as everything is divine, as in everything is a manifestation of the Lord. You can take it like that, or you can take it in the sense of everything is Maya. Whichever way you take it, the end result is the same, which is that we have to get out of this into self-realization. It's just different ways of putting the same truth.
Janki,
yes, Elsie.
If this is illusion and delusion like that, what difference it makes whether you do good or bad, whether you do your duty or not? Doesn't make any difference, no?
When you are playing a particular game, you have to play by the rules of that game. So as long as we are in this world, if we do what is good, and from there we learn to do what is right, then our ignorance subtilizes. It becomes more and more subtle. As it subtilizes and reaches the peak of subtlety, it separates.
Okay.
And that is a vision of the Lord, or that is realization or enlightenment, whatever you say. So the reason for goodness, the reason for doing it right, is that we eventually reach the Lord, we reach realization, we reach enlightenment. By doing it wrong, you sink into the mire some more. You sink into a cesspool.
So you just enact your role well, that's all.
Yeah, you do what is right at every single point until the subtlety. So you're making the ignorance thinner and thinner and thinner until it just evaporates.
Thank you.
So Janki, this law that you mentioned is the law of karma, right? That we need to abide by it, is it?
Yeah, I mean the laws of life, all of it, all the laws of life put together are known as karma. This is one of the laws. That as you improve, improvement is subtilizing, and subtilizing leads to like sort of separation of, it's like maybe think of it maybe an imagery, like a very thick curtain, and you're thinning the curtain until the fabric is so thin that it just sort of disintegrates like that, just as an imagery. Okay, no such thing is happening, just as an imagery.